the movies, the ones about big, bad moments in presidential history, the Oval Office, it's dark. There's ominous music playing. Everybody's got this grimace on their face. So I want you to listen to this. It reads as if it's taken from one of those screenplays. Quote, the evening of January 5th, the day before the formal certification process, Donald Trump met with Mike Pence. He urged Pence, as the presiding officer at the certification session, to throw Biden's electors out. Pence said he didn't have the power. Quote, what if these people say you do, Trump asked. He gestured outside where a massive crowd of his supporters had gathered. Their cheering, their bullhorns could be heard through the Oval Office windows. I wouldn't want any one person to have that authority, Pence said. But wouldn't it almost be cool to have that power? Asked the President of the United States. No, Pence said. I'm just there to open the envelopes. You don't understand, Mike. You can do this. I don't want to be your friend anymore if you don't do this. Trump's voice became louder and he grew threatening. You've betrayed us. I made you. You were nothing, he said. Your career is over if you do this. Cut, because that's where the director would yell cut if this were a scene from a movie. But it's not. It happened. It's June 6th today. It's been a year and a half since January 6th. In that time, the contours of what happened have become fairly clear. After the president of the United States lost re-election, he and his supporters launched a full-scale, multi-pronged effort to overturn the legitimate results of that election, one that culminated with a violent attack on the Capitol. We've gotten a pretty granular understanding of it, too. We know that sitting members of Congress were in on the plot. We know that the president's daughter witnessed her dad try to pressure the vice president, Mike Pence, to stop the official counting of the ballot. Heck, thanks to that original reporting that I just read to you from Bob Woodward and Robert Costa, we even know that the president threatened to stop being Mike Pence's friend, for whatever that's worth. I'm totally not going to be your friend anymore, Mike, if you don't throw the election my way. We're just 2 days away from the beginning of the January 6th public portion of the hearings, where investigators will lay out the results of the congressional inquiry into what happened and into who is ultimately responsible. And yet, we're still learning new details about the lead up to what was almost the successful overthrow of American democracy. The first piece of information today has to do with this.
Now it is up to Congress to confront this egregious assault on our democracy. And after this, we're going to walk down, and I'll be there with you. We're going to walk down. We're going to walk down. We're going to walk down to the Capitol.
That was right before the mob of supporters descended on the Capitol on January 6th, appearing to be following orders from the president to march down to the Capitol, along with a promise that the president himself would march down there alongside them. A lot of scrutiny has been placed on this part of the president's speech. It gets to the key question of whether or not Trump incited rally attendees to march to the Capitol. Trump and his allies have tried to downplay those remarks as some kind of off-the-cuff slip, that Trump didn't really mean that he wanted to march to the Capitol with his supporters to disrupt the certification of the election. Trump's chief of staff, Mark Meadows, says it was a complete surprise when he heard those words come out of his boss's mouth. Well, today we got concrete confirmation that Trump's direction to sic his supporters on Congress was not an unplanned ad lib, but something he had been planning for weeks. According to new reporting in the Washington Post today, Trump had been pressuring the Secret Service for weeks to come up with a plan for him to safely march with his supporters to the Capitol on January 6th. The Post reports that on January 6th, Trump, quote, Secret Service agents scrambled to try to secure a motorcade route so then President Donald Trump could accompany his supporters as they marched on Congress to demand that he stay in power, end quote. The D.C. police tells the Post that the Secret Service that day went as far as to ask the police for their help with setting up a safe route to the Capitol for the president. D.C. police told Secret Service agents it was not possible, so the idea was ultimately scrapped. Today, Politico reports that the January 6th investigation has interviewed the head of Trump's Secret Service detail. He was with Trump backstage at the rally on January 6th, as well as in the motorcade with the president. Presumably, his testimony will shed some light on this discrepancy. It also points to the fact that the January 6th investigation's focus on the Secret Service has sharpened considerably, not just on Donald Trump's security, but on the vice president's protection as well. Recent reporting in the New York Times revealed that just 24 hours before the attack on the Capitol, Mike Pence's chief of staff contacted the vice president's head Secret Service agent to tell him that, quote, the president was going to turn publicly against the vice president and there could be a security risk to Pence because of it. Following weeks of an intense pressure campaign led by the president to bully Pence into refusing to certify the election results on January 6th, Pence's chief of staff thought the president's supporters might descend to violence if Pence didn't abide by the president's demands. And of course, he was ultimately right. 24 hours later, Trump supporters were demanding that Mike Pence be hanged for failing to overturn the election for Trump. Pence did have to be whisked away from the Capitol by the Secret Service, narrowly avoiding an encounter with the rioters. And of course, we now know that Trump not only provoked those ralliers to hunt down Mike Pence that day, he even sympathized with them in real time. Donald Trump reportedly told his chief of staff that he approved of the hang Mike Pence chants that day. The pressure campaign against Mike Pence, the bullying he endured by Trump and his allies to defy the will of the voters, stacked together, it starts to create a picture of a president desperate to stay in power and who was willing to pull any lever available to make that happen. Especially when you add this new and overlooked detail. According to the New York Times, in addition to berating Mike Pence to his face to get him to block the certification of the election results, Trump was also trying to blackmail him behind the scenes. The Times reports that Trump's chief of staff told Pence's team that the White House was withholding money that Pence needed in order to set up his post-White House office. Put plainly, until you do what I want, you do not get your money. And as we approach the start of the public hearings on Thursday, consider the witness list here. Trump's efforts to overturn the election, even if you just focus on the Mike Pence aspect of it all, the list of people who were a party to this behavior is long. There are the advisors to Mike Pence who were on the receiving end of that pressure campaign, the staffers to Trump Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, who witnessed their boss dole out that pressure on Donald Trump's behalf. According to the Washington Post, all of those people are expected to deliver testimony at the live hearings that begin on Thursday. Mark Short, the vice president's chief of staff, the vice president's chief lawyer, Greg Jacob, as well as a top aide to Mark Meadows named Cassidy Hutchinson. They're all expected to deliver testimony during the live hearings. And apparently invitations are still in the mail. The Post reports that the former Attorney General, Jeff Rosen, and other Justice Department officials are expected to receive formal invitations to testify in the coming days. You thought you knew the whole story. Still stuff coming out.